It's that time again. It's the Berkey and the Badger Board Game Babble Show. It's going to get wild. It's going to get wacky. It's not going to get a little zany. We're going to talk about board games and the board game industry. And, you know, we might talk about anything else we want to talk about. Hey! We're live on the Berkey and Badger Board Game Babble Show.
Yay!
How are you, my friend Barry?
I'm very well, Berkey. You're better known as the man behind the Board Game Theater, Mr. Kevin Shake and Bake Smyer.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. And you're better known as Barry Make Me a Sandwich.
Okay. Yeah, that works for me, matey. But you can just call us Berkey and Badger.
Yeah, Berkey and Badger. And today we have with us the illustrious, the exquisite Sir Paul Grogan of Gaming Rules. Yeah, baby.
Nice T-shirt.
Why, thank you, sir. I got it from some bloke on the street.
He was asking for threepence and shipney. No, that's not it.
Well, every now and then you get something really good at Goodwill. You know, 25 cents and you're in.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they gave you 25 cents to take it off their hands.
They said, "What is this?" I don't know. It looks good though.
What colour is it supposed to be? I mean, I can't really tell with the camera here. Is it like a khaki?
Kind of dark, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of gray. Grayish, charcoal, red, gaming rules, exclamation point, boom.
I'm going to have to get a T-shirt made as well. Everyone else has got T-shirts. When I went to Essen, there was Robin Lees who had his T-shirt on. I was like, and then there was Tom, obviously. Oh, I've said it, and I've broken my vow never to say Tom's name on this podcast.
See, there you go.
Yeah,
But you didn't mean Tom. You meant the other Tom.
Yes, that's...
Yes.
The one, yes.
Bombadil.
Bombadil. Anyway, Berkey, what have you been up to lately, mate?
Oh, I've been busy. We went to, just recently got back from Con of the North in Minneapolis. It's a regional convention. About 1,000 people attend. Was invited to come with Lance Meister, the Undead Viking. And so I had the opportunity to head down there for 2 days of the con. It's really kind of, they have a lot of events. It's amazing. I didn't partake in any of them, but they had a lot of role playing and a lot of different things going on. Really a nice facility that they had it at the hotel there, and it was really cold. I mean, we had -12 below zero.
Wow.
So it was really cold. But anyway, I pretty much hanged out in the Undead Viking room, and it's basically a big hall where everybody brought their own games. There wasn't a big game library, but I brought a tub and everybody else brought tubs, and we just played games the whole time and just had a lot of fun. I played.
Sorry,
yeah.
There's an actual room called the Undead Viking Room.
It's called the Undead Viking Room, yeah.
Wow.
You should see what goes on in there. I mean, there's crazy stuff going on.
Can you imagine in 10 years' time there may be a Berkey and Badger room?
Ah, Berkey and Badger room.
No.
That's scary. Yeah, we'll rent one at Gen Con next year.
Yeah, the chances of the Berkey and Badger room coming from Mars are 1,000,000 to 1, they say. But we're all over that, shall we? Sorry, carry on with your wonderful...
Well, I just had a lot of fun. We played a lot of games. Got to play Terra Mystica, and that was an awful lot of fun. Got to play Vault Wars, Deception, Murder in Hong Kong. Played that several times. That was a real hit. Got to play Code Names, Paul.
Excellent.
That always goes over well. Played a little 2-player game of Matcha with some people as fillers while we're waiting for other games. Played this little game that just came out from Kickstarter called Swamped, which you're going through this swamp and got this little crocodile that's trying to, it's kind of semi-cooperative. First play, so it was kind of fun, but you know how that goes. So yeah, I had a great time and came home and got the wonderful con crud, which I'm still recovering from.
I just noticed I haven't got a beard here.
Maybe the crud got stuck in my beard. I don't know.
That's probably why.
Do you have a big black sort of felt tip pen you could just draw one on quickly?
Darken it up.
I've got a pencil.
That might do.
It's a bit blunt on one end.
Barry has some great beard memes that he puts on his computer there. You'll love it.
Let's see if I can find one.
If I only could grow a beard.
So was 1,000 people? Is that a small convention in the States?
Yeah, that's. I mean, it's significant, I guess, in a sense, because it takes quite a bit of coordination and organization to put it on. But for Minnesota in February, it's kind of a deal. It was a lot of fun. Met a lot of really great people. Met a gentleman I'm going to talk about in a few minutes here after talk about Barry's things, but a guy from Great Northern Games. Rick is his name, and got to talk with him, got to meet several other people that we let join into our game group. You know, people are just hanging out and say, you want to join in? And sure enough, we taught them code names, we taught them Deception Murder in Hong Kong. And then the one guy, Tony is his name, real fun guy, he came in and he played Terra Mystica with us. And
cool.
The fun part, you just meet new friends and get to develop new relationships, and that's what's so awesome about the board game hobby and the community, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Very nice, Barry. Very nice.
I tried.
Oh, Barry.
Deary me.
So what you been up to, Barry?
Me, I recently went to a... Wow, that's not too bad moustache, actually. It looks like bum fluff. I actually went to a gaming cafe, which is recently opened up near where I am. It's in the big city of Reims. It's called, I'm probably going to muck up the name, but it's the Mal de Pun. It's a very small cafe, which has been converted into a board game cafe, and it was quite a surprise how packed it was. I've been in there twice since, and it's a strange atmosphere. I mean, normally in France, the cafes are like the hub of a community. People go there, you know, in the morning before work, and then at lunchtime they go there, and at the end of the day they go there to drink a beer, to buy a packet of cigarettes, and drink more beer and chat and play lotto things. But this cafe is a little different. This is kind of sticks out a bit in regards to a normal, typical French cafe in the fact that it doesn't serve alcohol, and it doesn't serve cigarettes or the other thing I said, the lotto.
Lotto things.
It's just purely a cafe with croissants, pain au chocolat, gâteaux, all types of cake and stuff, coffees and cold drinks, and also a big selection of board games. Not obviously as big as some of the other cafes that you've probably seen, like the Snakes and Lattes, but there was ample 6 tables, which were all nice big kind of marble tables, nice big comfy chairs, and obviously in the summer they open up these big shutter doors which go outside, so they can put chairs and tables on the terrace. So that's my first visit to a board game cafe, and I was very surprised and I was very content. It was really nice to be there. The people were very nice. I got to play prototypes with the owner. He's prototyping some games, and apparently he's got one coming out sometime this year. And I'm just, you know, board game cafes rock as far as I'm concerned.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. And recently, last week, I read someone posted an article on Facebook saying that there's a board game cafe opening up in the village where I used to, not village where I used to live, but where I used to live in Southampton. So there's a board game cafe in Southampton. So when I go back to visit the family, I can go in there and have a coffee and play some games. And the world is sweet.
So this was an existing cafe that then turned into a board game cafe?
Yes, I think there was a couple of years between when the cafe closed down and then when it got rebought out, and this couple turned it into a board gaming cafe. Okay. But it was an existing cafe unit, so to speak.
Cool.
Yeah, so very, very, very content about that. And also, on a quick note, I never thought I'd be into game design, I never intended to be a game designer, but at the moment I'm in line to be a co-author of a board game.
Yes.
All
Excellent.
right. Very. Moving on up.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. I'm not going to explain anything because I'm under.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm under the thumb. I've got to keep my stum about it because that's the way it is. But yeah, I'm going to be a co-author, hopefully.
Awesome.
It's interesting. I mean, I've done a bit of it, and it's not as easy as people think, and it can be a lot of hard work. But yeah, good luck with it. And if you need any tips and advice on the quiet or anything like that, then just give us a shout.
No problems. Thank you very much, Paul. That's very nice.
Yeah, get Paul to do the rules.
Because he's gaming.
Yes.
No,
because he rules.
So are you co-authoring it with Bruno Cathala? Or
No.
the Duty? Any of the Brunos?
No.
Any of the Vitals?
No.
I don't think he's allowed to say.
No, I'm not allowed to say it.
Ignacies?
He's not French.
No, he's not French.
Oh, there's a hint there. It's a French games designer. Right.
Yes, it's a French game designer. And wink's as good as a nod to a blind bat.
I will ask more of our mutual friend on Monday.
He doesn't know nothing.
Oh.
Well,
okay.
I think it's time to go on to our news segment, Things That Make You Go,
News. Yes, news. Board gaming news.
Enough of that anyway.
I love it.
So, Berkey, what's been making you go, in the board gaming world?
Well, something kind of interesting made me go, and that was the fact that Mayfair Games has issued a press release about their Agricola line and their Agricola expansion. I'll read the quick press release here. It says Mayfair Games has announced 3 new products for Agricola. There will be 2 new versions of the hugely popular Agricola, as well as an expansion arriving through 2016. First up in May is a revamped version of Agricola, 1 to 4 players, featuring an updated, streamlined version of the classic game by Uwe Rosenberg. The version will be a greatest hits deck of cards comprised of the best cards from the best game and expansions, newly revised for this version. And then later in 2016, it says they're going to be releasing a family edition, acting as a gateway game to the Big Brother. Okay, so interesting. Everybody knows about Agricola that's in the gaming hobby, right? Mostly.
Yep.
Agricola. You know, for me, I've played Agricola several times. I like it. Much prefer Caverna to Agricola.
Me too.
Agricola, yeah, it's. But you know, it's Uwe Rosenberg. He's brilliant. The thing I found interesting about it, and the thing that made me go, is that Mayfair Games sold off the rights, the English rights of Catan to Asmodee North America, and that was very interesting. But what I'm hearing, or if I'm reading between the lines correctly in this, it seems like they are looking to take Agricola to that same level and their same type of marketing by making a streamlined version, by making expansions, and really focusing on some things to build that brand, possibly through the channel that they already have, like they did with Catan. And if they can do what they did with Catan with Agricola, that'd be a big deal.
Definitely. I mean, again, the Stone Age as well is having a rehashing into a kids version, which is pretty cool. Not that I think it needs it, because my daughter can play it quite easily. But anywho,
the thing about Mayfair is, you know, they have the shelf space already. They're already in position in many big box retailers, Toys R Us, Target, things like that in North America. So I don't know if Paul, if you have anything to comment on that or anything that made you go about it.
I think my only thing is, I don't think, if that is their aim, is to turn Agricola into the next Catan and have it, everywhere, I don't think it's going to work. I think it will be successful, and it will, a new, lighter, more streamlined version, but I don't think it's ever going to carve the niche that Catan did. But good luck to them if that's what they want to do. It's it's an excellent game, and it's one which I think was fairly groundbreaking. And I remember being there the Essen that it came out. Only the German version was available, and at that point I kind of thought, okay, this is not a turning point, but it was a milestone when Agricola came out. So yeah, it's good, classic.
Yeah. Especially they include real fluffy sheep inside. I definitely buy it again.
Yeah, the new. So, what makes you go home, Barry? You sheep farmer, you.
Oh, dearie me, dearie me. The chances of any blag coming from my head are 1,000,000 to 1, they say. What's been making me go? Well, you might have listened to a podcast a little while ago. We mentioned that Zev has left Z-Man Games, so it's no longer Z-Man Games, but it's actually Man Games.
Yeah.
As Robin Lee said. And he's now apparently attached to WizKids, which is, wow, this is great for him. I mean, WizKids are, they do some really great stuff, like that game.
That one.
Yeah, that one. The one with the hero clicks. How's the one I was thinking?
Hero clicks.
Yeah,
Star Trek Attack Wing.
Yeah. So they do some great stuff, but again, WizKids games feel totally different to Z-Man games. Man games. Do you feel the same?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's an air which is not the same. So it's going to be interesting to see what he does and what his input's going to be into WizKids. Are they going to go down to a more kind of cardboardy type of world of games, or are they going to stick with their kind of like figurines and bits and bobs like that? Or dice. They do the dice game, don't they?
They do Dice Masters. They do Quarriors and then Dice Masters, and that's a big sell for them because obviously it's got the superhero tie-in and things like that. I think we're only going to know what impact this is going to have in the next sort of 3, 6, 9 months maybe, when we start seeing. And if WizKids suddenly announce, a Euro game that is the kind of thing that Z-Man Games would have done, we know they're going in that direction. If we just see WizKids producing more of the same sort of stuff that they normally produce, but Zev is there to help out and add his input, then it's going to go that way. So at the moment, who knows where it's going? So we'll see, but it's exciting.
Yes, very exciting, and that's been making me go.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely fantastic too. Because Zev, I've met him several times at different conventions, and he's very highly regarded and respected. And when you meet the guy, he's just like one of the rest of you. He invites you right into the conversation, and but he has such great wealth of experience. And if I read their press release correctly, I think that they really are looking for his flavor to add to their line. So if that's the case, I think we will be seeing different things. That's just my, if you will, prediction. But yeah, I think it's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, if you were the CEO of WizKids, then I think you wouldn't have, if it was me, I would have said, right, I think as a company we should be going in this direction with board games, and let's get Zev in to help us do that, rather than, let's just get that guy to help us doing what we're already doing. So I think it is going to be a change in direction for WizKids. I actually, only yesterday, got an invitation to go to an event in the UK and get to interview Zev, which I was like, I read the email and it was like, I can interview Zev and talk to him about his stuff, and I can interview Matt Leacock and everything else, and I was like, great, 11th of April, I'm in the Czech Republic. I was like, well, I kind of have to go to the Czech Republic because it's spending 4 days with CGE developing their new games for this year. But yeah, I've missed out on the opportunity, which was a shame. But yes, so maybe whenever that comes out, because it's a press event and there's lots of people who are going to be there to interview him. There'll be lots of people asking similar sorts of questions, and we might get some more answers, later next month. Not 11th of April, 11th of March. Yeah. I know what month it is, honestly.
You're
Let's
not
just start.
snowed under with lots of work, are you?
Yeah. Let's just start all over again. So yes, March.
March.
Anyway.
Well, we've got a lot of fun stuff on the show today, and we're going to do our good, bad, and the ugly segment in a few moments. I've got a little bit of business to throw in first, and then we're going to have our special What Game is Behind the Door segment with Paul, and we'll get to talk with him a little bit more about what he's doing in the industry. But today we have from a special, this happened at Con of the North. I met a guy named Rick from Great Northern Games. Now, I didn't know who he was. He had a Great Northern Games t-shirt on, but I was teaching Deception, Murder in Hong Kong. And we played a couple games of it, and everyone was having a blast. And then all of a sudden, I said, would anyone else like to be the investigator? And sure enough, he popped his hand up and said, yeah, go for it, and gave him little clues. And he jumped right in, and he did just a fun job. We played like 5 games of Deception. Well, I received an email from him after the fact, and he goes, you know, I kept looking at you, and I couldn't place you. But he said, I didn't realize you were from Board Game Theater. I've seen your stuff. It's really good. And he said, we're just doing a Kickstarter right now on their game called Council of Blackthorn, which I had looked at briefly in the gaming hall, but didn't have a time to demo it or anything like that. Well, he reached out to me and just said, hey, we've got our Kickstarter going, and it's from Great Northern Games, Council of Blackthorn. I took a look at it, and I looked at some of the videos of people who are talking about it. Lance, the Undead Viking, has a video there. Also, Dan King, one of my respected reviewers, the Board Game Geek, he did a full review on it, and I watched the gameplays. And, you know, this game looks really interesting. You know, it's an interesting game where people are several different council members and their characters, and they're playing different factions, building cards. There's custom dice that are there. There's the Kickstarter. Barry just popped up, and it's close to reaching its funding goal. There's only 9 days left. I don't know this company. They aren't paying us or giving us anything specifically personally to represent this, but I did find that it looked interesting. It has kind of some custom dice mechanism that changes each round, and you're buying for influence, and it looked like a fun little quick game that had some depth. The artwork looks really great. But go take a look at it if you'd like at the Kickstarter. But they said they would be happy to donate a previous game that they've made, and they have a game called Noble Treachery. And this game, it's basically a tactical card and dice game, plays 4 to 6 players, plays relatively quickly. You can go to greatnortherngames.com and take a look at it for it. But they're going to give away this game for us to do as a giveaway to our listeners.
Cool.
So super exciting. I didn't have time to get the Rafflecopter entry form on the website yet, but you can go to our guild at Berkey and Badger. There's the Noble Treachery. You can see there. This is the game that we'll be giving away. And all you have to do to enter is you can go to our website, boardgametheater.com, and you'll see the contest and Berkey and Badger page, and you'll be able to enter via that, or go to our Board Game Geek Guild 2248, and that will allow you to see, or that'll allow you to enter into the contest. All we ask is that you join the guild and make a comment. We're hoping to develop more interaction in our guild, and so that's why we're doing this. And it was really great of Rick and them to donate Noble Treachery, so thank you so much for doing that, guys. And with that, I think we're going to move right into our next segment.
But not so bad. For it, and the ugly.
Well, Barry, do you want to go through our theme this week and explain our rating system of the good, the bad, and the ugly?
Okay. Our subject for this podcast is called Making Space. And what better place to make space than in the Star Trek universe? Here we have good. For good games, they are games that this is like a first impressions. We play a game once and it kind of gives us these kind of impressions. If we think it's good, it's a game that we liked and we will, play it no problem as long as we remember the gaming rules. Here you see Mr. Spock, and he's doing his Spocky touchy-feely facey thingy with Dr. McCoy, and he's saying, "Remember the rules correctly." That was a terrible Spock impression.
Remember.
No, that was rubbish as well. Anywho, so we will be giving a good review to a game that we think is good because it's good. Oh dear, I need coffee. A bad game, it's not really bad, it's a not so bad. So we've played it and we thought it was okay. We would either take it or leave it. And as you can see, there's the Genesis probe in the teleporter, so it's not really there, but it is there because it's like being teleported. And he's basically saying, if someone tries to play tic-tac-lumberjack on me one more time, I'm presuming the final word would be go boom. Yeah, would I be right?
That's right.
Yeah, so it's a game that we thought was okay, but we could take it or leave it. And then we have our bad. Oh my God! Oh, sorry, ugly. That would explain Khan's face mounted off. Okay. Yes, this is a game that after one play we do not want to go and see it again, and we wish that it was on a planet where we could send a Genesis missile to and blow it up. So here we have Khan, and he's saying, "You played out of order again. From hell's heart I stab at thee." That was pants as well. But anyway,
I have to say that you have chosen the best Star Trek film ever to get those stills from. By far.
You rock. You rock, Paul Grogan.
I was actually thinking of taking them from the original series and like having the portal. I don't know if you remember, there was a portal in the original series, and then having that as an ugly, and then you throw the game through that portal, and for the good, I don't know, the green woman. Why?
The Orion slave girl.
Yeah. Why good? I'll leave that to your imagination.
Green is good.
It's green.
Hey, green's my favorite color. Look at my bar here. It's green.
Oh yeah.
I love green. My room is green. It's called a green room.
I see what you did there.
The green room. So,
no, Paul Grogan, no. No, Paul Grogan, no. There must be more to green. Do you see what I did there?
I did.
Okay.
I'll just cross one off my list, though. There we go.
Okay. What have I been playing? Well, Mr. Grogan's on the show, and I was going to do this last week, and I am kind of cheating a tad because I did play this with our mutual friend, Paul, at his apartment. But I recently got it, and I played it with the family. I actually convinced the wife to play it, and I convinced the wife that it's a game for her because she likes deduction games. This is The Alchemist by CGE, Czech Games Edition. And it's a very, very heavy box. That's why I've only got the lid. Because there's a lot of components in it. And in the game, players are playing as alchemists, and they're trying to get lots of reputation points by making potions and selling them to heroes correctly, and also publishing theories about what two ingredients make what kind of alchemicals. The game includes an app where you have to download the app, and luckily now I have an app feature which I can do things with, and you're scanning two ingredients and they tell you what the outcome is, and then you record these, and it's a worker placement, and it's very colourful, very bright, and it's a very, very deep thinky game. So, what do you guys think I think of this game?
I don't know. If you've played the game with your wife, I don't know if your opinion of the game might be affected by also how much she enjoyed it. And I don't know what kind of game she normally plays, but I do know that Alchemist is a pretty heavy game. and is not for everybody because it can blow people's minds.
Okay, I'll say that I also played with my 8-year-old daughter as well.
Okay, I wouldn't have said the game would be possible to play with an 8-year-old daughter unless they had some kind of genius gene in them. But maybe I'm underestimating them. I've struggled to demo this to people of higher than normal intelligence. So, yeah, it's quite a heavy game.
Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. I was thinking, wow, that's a pretty thick game. So I would think that you think the game is probably a well-designed game, and that would be your impression. Whether or not you think it's, the more I think about that, yeah, I think your opinion is going to be based on whether you think the game is good, and on that basis, I'm going to actually say that it's good. I think you'll think this is good.
Okay. It was actually good. I really do like this game. The only thing I will say is when I played with my wife and my daughter, my wife kicked my ass and my daughter kicked my ass.
Okay.
Okay, I played it a couple of weeks ago with just my daughter because it was the school holidays. And my daughter kicked my ass. She had about 42 reputation. I was on about 11.
Cool. Yeah.
And I was like, how did that happen? I know that I did one little thing wrong. You can test your potion on yourself and then test it the second time, and it takes 2 cubes.
Yep.
The second time, and I didn't have enough ingredients, and so I was like, oh, oops, I've just wasted a load of cubes. So that set me back. But the game is a really, really deep puzzle. I can't figure out how to win at this game. As you can tell, if an 8-year-old can beat me at this, and she understands how the game plays, she doesn't really understand all of the intricacies of the game. But she's got a good idea of, like, okay, if I go there, I can do this. I'm going to do this and get as many results as I can, and then score points for selling potions that I know how to make to these players. She doesn't really push the risk boundaries.
Okay.
That are there, because there's some risk, isn't there? You could just go and sell a potion to a hero, but it's like a wild stab in the dark. It could be anything you could be making.
Yeah, it's more the publication of your findings, the books that you write. The game is sort of designed that if you were to play it safe and only publish journals when you are 100% sure that it's correct, the game will be over. And other people will have published loads, and you'll be missing the boat. So you kind of have to take a little bit of a gamble on the publication of the books, based on the other fact. I mean, it's not just a complete guess. There's extra rules in there to help you with that decision. But yeah, you can't just wait till you're completely decided.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It's very clever. Yeah.
Yeah, very thumbs up. I love the worker placement thing because of bit of culture and Agricola. And again, it feels very much like Dungeon Pets as well, which is a game my daughter and I love. Yeah. Really, really much. So we're kissing you. We're kissing you.
Cool.
Thank you, Paul. You pass that on to Ignacy, not Ignacy.
Matouche?
I'm going to go and kill myself now.
Yeah, because the designer of this game, it's an interesting story. It's actually Matouche Guthrie, and he is just a guy who works for the digital half of CGE, helping develop Galaxy Trucker app and then Through the Ages. And a few years ago, he came to the boss of CGE and said, "Oh, by the way, I've been designing my own game," and that was Alchemists. So he's just an employee of the company who was working on, the digital stuff, who said, "Oh, by the way, I've got this game," and they loved it, and they spent 2 years developing it and working on it, and now, Alchemist was born. It's a great story. Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic story.
Wow.
Fantastic game.
That's awesome. That was great insight, Paul.
Okay then, Bertie, what have you been playing then, my dear?
Well, I played a game that I was on my shelf of shame, which I'm getting some of the games off of. It was the game Flip City. This is by Tasty Minstrel Games, and this is a deck builder game where you're basically building your neighborhood. You've got these different cards that you're residential cards that you can flip. You pay cost. You can get unhappy when you put these different kind of cards in there. There's a shopping mall. There's the convenience store. You can flip them over. They have different values to purchase them, so forth. And simple deck building concept that most of you would know. And what do you think, based on that information, what I think about it?
It's a simple card game where you're flipping cards. I think I've seen the review of this. It seems okay. I think you're going to think it's okay as well, because simplicity is nice, but there's not a lot of deep gameplay there for you, I don't think. So I think you're going to think it's not so bad.
Yeah, I think the same. Yeah, sort of middle of the road.
Yeah, that's you guys hit it right on the head. Not so bad. I tell you.
Yeah, should we get yourself with shame here?
Wow.
You can't see the whole thing there because it's been clipped out, but there's got to be at least 40 games on there.
Yeah, there is.
That's a lot of games.
Prodigal Club. It's definitely.
Yeah.
Well, we'll talk about our shelf of shame later. I guess the thing about Flip City that kind of got us, it was our first play, all four of us. I had watched a review on it. I like deck building game. I like the artwork, the quality. Tasty Minstrel, they're one of my favorite publishers. I like a lot of their games. I think they do a great job. I was tempted, Barry, to call this ugly. The reason I didn't, because this is a first impression, so that's the caveat. We only played it once, learning game, all of that stuff. But I had high expectations for it, and I love deck building games. I love Valley of the Kings by AEG. I love Dominion. I did Baseball Highlights 2045. I mean, I love deck building, but this thing was it was hard to wrap our heads around. I started buying up a whole bunch of the offices so I could play through my deck, but I wasn't getting. You can kind of call some of your cards out to get these happiness to flip them over or to give them to an opponent. It just seemed wonky for everybody how to do it, and maybe with many more plays. I'm just going to give the credit to Tasty Minstrel, and a lot of other people play this game and like it, so that's why I said not so bad. But for me, I don't even want to play it again. And I don't know. It was just hard to get through it. And I will give it more of a chance before I do that. But that doesn't happen to me very often.
No, it doesn't.
No, and we had a good game group, a good people, so it wasn't like we were having a bad experience. It just kind of went on and on and on, and it was like, how does this work? How does this work? And I don't know. It just didn't feel that intuitive. But I don't know what your thoughts. Have you played it, Paul?
I have. I've played it. A friend of mine got it. It was I was really, because I like deck builders as well. And when I read about this, and I read the fact that you can flip a card over, and when reading about it, it sounded excellent, and it sounded like it was something that was going to be really good. And then we started playing it, and wonky is the word that we sort of used. It didn't quite feel right. It went on way too long, and we were uncertain about the balance of some of the cards. I don't know. It just didn't. So it's not something we've gone back to. It didn't blow us away on that first experience. So.
It didn't blow you away like a heat wave.
No, not at all. So
but it was wonky as a tripod.
It was, and we thought, maybe we'll go back over and start all over again. But with all the other games coming out, it's kind of fell by the wayside, which is a shame because I liked the artwork and I liked the production and I liked the idea of the flipping the cards over.
Yeah, I did too, and I just didn't flip for this game.
Yeah, it was going into a Brave New World territory, but it just shame.
Well, there you have it.
Okay, we're going
to.
So, not quite first impressions because I've played this 2 or 3 times now. Discoveries, which everybody was raving about at Gen Con last year. This was one of the games that there was a huge amount of buzz about, and I'm normally very skeptical of the buzz, and quite often the buzz is for games which I personally don't think are that great. So I wanted to get hold of a copy of this. So It's a dice game version of Lewis and Clark, which came out a couple of years ago, but it's a very, very different game. The theme's there and the artwork's similar, but the actual gameplay is very different. I think it's a light to medium game. It has dice rolling in it. Your dice are your workers, and you place them on your board to explore locations and try and discover new things. The clever part about it is the way that it's when you rest. So you use some of the dice on your turn, and then when you choose to rest, you get your dice back, but you can also get other people's dice back, and basically the dice, which are the workers, kind of move around between the players. Takes up to 4 players, probably takes about 30 to 45 minutes to play. Yeah, there you go. What do you think I think about it?
I don't know much about this game. I've heard lots of good things about it. And you seem to have like a little chirpiness in your voice there right at the end. So I'm going to say that you actually think this game is good.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because
Paul's
it's-
trying to be really, really coy right now. Look at him. He's trying to bluff us.
Acting is not one of my strong points.
Yeah, but yeah, we know we got you listed here, buddy. Look at him. Look at him. His cheeks are turning red.
Yeah. Well, you're both wrong. It's not good. It's great. You need a new category. I think I said in my last podcast, I'm doing a proper review of this at some point, and in my reviews I always cover the good points and the bad points, and at the moment I can't think of any bad points about this game. The gameplay, the production quality, the rules, and I've introduced this now to about 12 to 15 other people. Almost all of them have said it's a great game, and they're wanting me to keep bringing it. 2 of them have bought it themselves. I've got nothing bad to say about it. I know it's only light to medium, and people think I only like heavy games, which is not true. And there is enough stuff going on in it to make you think. So yeah, really, really good game.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I actually have that on my wish list to pick that one up, but I've been kind of hesitating to buy new games. We'll talk about that a little bit more in our making space segment. But well, that's going to do it today for our good, the bad, and the ugly segment. We're going to try to move right along. But first, before we get into what game is behind the door with Paul, I just first want to make a real formal thanks so much, Paul, for joining us. This is great having you on the show. I have a great deal of respect for you. For those that don't know, I had the opportunity to meet Paul at VGG Con this last November, and I didn't even realize it. It's a funny little story, but we had played Last Will at our game group, and one of the rules videos that one of our game in the group had watched to teach us the game was Paul Grogan's video from Last Will. Well, we actually pulled the video up here before we started playing the game, and Paul's there with his little top hat, and then we saw the animation and the quality of this video, and we just looked at each other and went, if he has more videos, this is the one I'm watching. Well, this is funny because I'm at BGG Con, and I'm sitting down to demo the Prodigals Club with Paul. But for some reason, it's not clicking with me that this is who this is. But he's fun. He's got an English accent, and he was.
He's got a beard.
Yeah, he's got a beard. I like it. What's not to like? So he's explaining the game. We had a fun little time doing that, but it just wasn't clicking. Well, before too long, all of a sudden, he tells me about gaming vids. He gives me this awesome shirt. Yeah, baby. Gaming rules, and we just started to develop a friendship, and we had the opportunity to go out to the Hard 8 restaurant and have lunch together and talk about the industry, talk about media and all of this stuff. And since then, I've been listening to Paul's podcast, and without any more ado, I just have a great deal of respect for what you do, Paul. You do things with excellence. Just a wonderful ambassador for the hobby, and we're so glad that you're here, and want to give you a few moments here just to tell us a little bit what you're doing in the industry. Yay! Yay!
Well, thank you very much for the introduction. I mean, I love coming on these sorts of things because I've watched your show a number of times now. So to be on it is I feel honoured to be on the show. It's great, and obviously your work I've already said in public the amount of effort that you put into your videos is just exceptional, and they're really entertaining to watch as well. So yes, very well done on that. So what was it you wanted me to talk about then? What I'm doing?
Yeah, you can talk about gaming rules, your vids,
Yeah.
things that you're doing on your podcast, whatever you like.
So Gaming Rules was formed a couple of years ago as me trying to get out of the job that I was doing at the time. It wasn't working out for me, and I basically needed another career. I've always enjoyed teaching people how to play games. I love doing it. For the last 30 years or so, I've done it. And I quite often go to gaming conventions and end up spending 3 days there not playing a single game and just spending my time demoing games to people. And it was probably about 5 or so years ago where I realized, after going to one of these conventions where I didn't play a single game and I had a thoroughly good time, that I enjoy sitting down and teaching people how to play a game. Even if I'm not playing it and watching them enjoy it, I get so much enjoyment out of that. So anyway, I was looking for a way out of my career to start a new career, and I thought, what I'm going to do, I'm going to make a whole series of YouTube videos on how you play games. And rather than just be a video camera and a guy talking, I'm going to try to do them professionally. I'm going to write proper scripts, I'm going to get it clear and concise, and I'm going to try and do digital animations just to make them stand out a little bit. I had no idea what I was getting into. I've never done any kind of digital animation work before. I've never done any filmmaking before. Literally learning everything from scratch.
Wow.
And yeah, I'm now working full time in the board game industry. So it's kind of a dream come true in a way. But when you get to having worked 80-hour weeks for 3 months with no days off, you start to think, what am I doing? It's because the pay isn't great. It's the board games industry, and I end up taking on probably too much work. And then when some of the work that I'm on ends up taking a lot longer than I thought, it's impacting on other work, and yeah, it gets crazy. I mean, I've been working all day today, and it's a Saturday, and I'll probably be working a lot tomorrow as well. So there's ups and downs.
It was kind of interesting when Peter was there from Czech Games, as well as Josh and some other folks. And he was saying something to me privately when we were outside the restaurant. He says, yeah, he said, Paul just picked up this Adobe, and he said he's never seen anybody pick things up so quickly and so well. And I said, he learned this all on his own? Are you kidding me? So, I mean, I'm not saying it. You're, just for the sake of saying it, your stuff is really crazy awesome. You really do a great job.
Yeah, and again, from someone that does videos where it is the camera on top of the table and it's really boring, long shots at the table. Over here is a card. Can you read it? No. As someone that does those kind of videos, yes, that's a lot of work just doing that. And for you to do what you do is probably 10 times as much harder, because you've got to get the card, you've got to tell the card what to do, flip, and then you've got all these layers. So you have to teach me how to do it.
It takes a long time, but yes, I'm more than happy to, because it's like teaching. I love teaching people how to do things. So
yes,
yeah.
So do I. I'm obviously good at teaching because I taught my daughter and my wife how to beat me at Alchemist, and I still haven't got a clue how to play it.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you should say that, because everybody thinks I'm really, really good at games, and I'm not. I'm average at best. I'm good at teaching and explaining the rules in a clear and concise fashion that helps them learn the game. And then they go, oh, don't play through the ages with Paul. He'll absolutely kill you. And I'm like, no, I won't. I'll more than likely come last. It's just, yeah, but it doesn't spoil my enjoyment of the game. So.
Well, I'd highly recommend you take a look at gamingrulesvids.com, right?
Gaming-rules.com. The YouTube channel is Gaming Rules Vids.
That's correct. Awesome. Yeah. Well, I highly recommend you take a look at Paul's work. There's quite a bit of it available. But you also have a podcast.
I do, yeah. So I started doing the podcast. Well, I've just done episode 29, and they're every 2 weeks. So it's been just over a year. And recently I've been experimenting. So the podcast used to be bite-sized podcasts. They were 20, 25 minutes long because not everybody's got time for an hour and a half or 2-hour podcast. I tried to keep them short, but I've recently been experimenting with a co-host because I feel that podcast where there's 2 people talking is easier to listen to and it's a bit more dynamic. And in the last episode, I had Vital Lacerda as a guest. In the one before that, I had Ignacy Trevishek. So I'm trying to get some good names on there, but it has meant that the podcast have sort of extended out to 30, 40 minutes. Nobody seems to be complaining about that at the moment. So I'm going to carry on doing them. And in a few weeks' time, when I'm over in the Czech Republic, I might be getting a certain Czech designer as a guest.
That's all.
Yeah. Matus,
that's the guy. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I was out moving snow yesterday. We had 44 degrees, so everything was melting, and I had to move it away. And I was actually listening to your last episode with your interview with Etta, and that was awesome. I tell you, the whole thing, listening to the insights and the information that you were able to cover with him, but it was concise and yet it was just so entertaining. And likewise, I think your new guests and format where you kind of run in and out it's just fun to listen to, and
cool.
I highly again recommend you guys to check out Gaming Rules as a podcast because it's very informative and you're very articulate and do a really nice job.
Can I ask, was there a white cat in the snow? So you're like shoveling the snow.
Oh, it was crazy. Everything was water.
Yellow water after the cat got thrown. Right, moving right along.
Yeah, let's go into what game's behind the door.
Yes, Game Behind the Door is where we do a quiz with our guest here, Mr. Grogan.
Hello.
Oh, there he is.
Paul Grogan.
Sorry, too many buttons. I've got too many buttons here, Paul. Don't have too many buttons.
Too many buttons.
Okay, so we're going to ask Mr. Grogan here, Paulie. We're going to call him Paulie. We're going to call
Paulie.
Hey, Paulie, would you move it along, Paulie? Let's go.
We can call him the artillery man. It's up to you. We're going to ask him 3 questions about the gaming world, and we're going to put this into a game form. And we're going to start with a kind of 20 questions on our first part. We're going to ask Paul, what was the last game that he purchased? And we're going to ask 5 questions each, and Paul will be responding either yes or no, or maybe because sometimes these questions kind of like fall into middle territory. And we're going to try and guess what this game is that he purchased. So pencils ready. If you're at home watching this, maybe you can write some comments on Twitter, on Berkey Badger Twitter, or on the actual YouTube video itself. I'll be looking to try and get some answers. Hello, Patrick.
Patrick, how are you, my friend?
And I'll stop clicking buttons because it's getting distracting. I'm not a woman. A woman can multitask. I can't.
Stop it. All right, so I will start out with the first question of what was the last game that you purchased? My question to you is, Paul, is it a cooperative game?
Yes.
Ooh.
Woohoo! That was
You gonna make a guess?
Co-op. Nah, we'll go a little quicker. We'll go longer. Go ahead.
Okay. Because we know it's co-op, I'm going to ask a really simple, stupid question. Because I'm a simple, stupid person. Does this... Actually, it could be that. Okay. Is this co-op game in a fantasy realm?
Ish.
Okay.
Ish? No?
Can I make a guess?
Fanty-ish? You say yes, no?
Yes.
It can be yes and it can be no.
I'm going to say Time Stories.
Correct.
Woo!
Way to go, Barry.
There we go. That
Where's
didn't
the
take
one
long.
when you need it? No, it did take long. Hey, thanks for watching. Good night.
Hey.
Well, tell us a little bit about Time Stories real quick.
So the latest expansion is a fantasy setting, which is why it was sort of a yes and no. And yeah, I got sent a copy of the latest expansion, which is Prophecy of Dragons, and that is the last game that arrived in the house, and I have played it. So we're now completely up to date with all of the current Time Stories cases. And yeah, I enjoyed it because I'm enjoying the experience of playing Time Stories. We've got the same group of people. We have my non-game playing girlfriend who loves Time Stories, so she's part of the group. So it's a bit more than just a group of friends come over. She joins us, and it's the same two friends each time, and we make a day of it. So it took us, I think, 6.5 or 7 hours to play it, and we broke that up with Vicky was cooking like lasagna for everybody, and we had a big meal and everything. And it was more, it wasn't the best game I've played recently, but the experience of taking a whole day out, doing this, cooperating together, solving the puzzles and the mysteries, and working together on it. It's just a great experience, and I'm loving the game. Saying that, it was my least favourite of the 3 cases so far. It played very differently from the other 2, and the differences were not as enjoyable for me as the first 2 cases. But I recommend everybody do it if you like Time Stories, because there are people who've preferred this one. So it's different strokes for different folks.
The first one was Asylum, and the second one was the Marcy case.
Marcy case, yes.
Excellent.
Yeah. And the next one is the Egypt one, and then the one after that is the Antarctica one. And yeah, and I can't say too much because, but I might be getting more involved with future cases than I have been so far.
Yes.
Fantastic.
I got a funny little story. I went to the Asmo Day event last year with Ita Perez, and it's kind of like a big hall. They had a big mansion, and it was like there was prototypes of games, and then there was finished games that people could test and play. And they had a Time Story section, and you could demo a part of Time Stories. And obviously it was in French because I'm in France, and there I was with 4 other people I didn't know because we just written down our names to go and play Time Stories at 4 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, 4 o'clock in the morning. It was a 24-hour thingy. Cool. And we were sat round, and there's Croc, who is head honcho of Space Cowboys, and he's explaining the game, and I kind of understand what he's saying, but I also know the game a bit myself. And we started playing, and I started reading the text in French, and I didn't understand a word of it. Luckily, one of the players, he's perfect English. He sounded like you, Paul. He had this really kind of English accent, unlike what I've got. And then all of a sudden there was a conversation between Croc and this chap, and he said, "Well, how would you like to and he was talking, saying, how would you like to translate the next module for us?" And this guy was going, and I was like there in the middle of this kind of this conversation. It's like, wow. So yeah, interesting. I don't know if that was interesting or not, but
yeah. Now we know who to blame for the things that are missing on the English cards. So yes.
Yeah, this guy wrote his name down at 4 o'clock in the morning to play. Yeah. There you go. Time Stories. Woo! I'm a winner.
All right, let's move on to question number 2.
Okay, question number 2 is we're going to ask him over there, Mr. Grogio. I'm going to play on this, I think.
He's never going to come back. He's never going to come back, Barry.
No. Yeah, because we're not going to call him Paul. We're going to call him.
Where's the unfollow button on Twitter? There it is.
Yeah, you're going to put the ula. Anyway, what game are you most excited about getting? In this section, Paul's going to have a couple of minutes to draw a sketch, and he's going to hold it up for all of us to see. The whole world is going to see it, unless you're listening to the podcast. If you're listening to the podcast, then we'll describe it to you. And we're going to try and guess it from this image. So, Paul, are you ready?
Yeah, my art skills are horrendous, so yeah.
Thank God for Adobe, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I'm starting to draw because I've got some ideas of what I wanted to draw, but whether this is going to work or not, I've no idea.
We shall find out.
You'll be the judge of whether your skills are horrendous.
The chances of any of us guessing this picture are 1,000,000 to 1, they say.
Right.
Hello?
Okay. So I've started drawing. I don't know if you can see that. You probably can't.
Yeah, horrendous.
that?
Smiley face and a sad.
So this is the name of the game. Okay.
Okay, there's an unhappy face. There's a happy face.
Yep. That's the name
unhappy
of the
is to
game.
the left. And so I think I even have.
And now I'm starting to draw certain bits. I think.
Okay, there's some stick men with little shields and with swords. There's 2 of them, and looks like they're walking over to maybe a pond or a
pond, or it's a big
It looks
floating
like
cloud,
It looks like a kidney.
or a
Yeah.
or a mound of treasure.
Yeah. That's that.
That's some treasure.
Okay. There's
In
no
a dungeon.
treasure?
I think it's a
Yeah.
cave.
How
I was
old
gonna-
are you, Paul?
27.
I mean, this is worse than any kindergarten drawing I've ever seen.
You want to see some of my drawings that I did for Pictomania? They've gone down in history. They really have.
Okay,
So-
put it back up again and don't move it. Move
Okay.
a little closer.
Okay, so it's a dungeon crawling game with happy and sad people. I was going to say between good and evil. No, it's not good and evil. That's a computer game, isn't it?
Well, I was thinking Pursuit of Happiness at first. The bad, the happy, but now this is. I don't know. You think it has like Stronghold Second Edition?
Oh no, there was a Kickstarter game, wasn't there? Oh god. Oh, I can't think for the life of me. We're gonna have to put a
Title.
timer on this. Oh, dearie me. It was a really dark one, and it had, I don't know, happy and smiley faces on it. No, didn't have happy and smiley faces.
Well, it kind of looks like they're besieging the castle or something.
I think it's supposed to be a top down of a dungeon.
Yep.
With a treasure chest in it.
Yep.
So it's a dungeon game.
Barry's right. This is a dungeon. And this is a treasure chest here, and the X's mark the location of the enemies.
Light and dark? No. What was it called?
This is what he's most excited about getting.
Yeah, I think it's a Kickstarter game.
It's not out yet.
No. I'm going to pass.
Gosh, he stumped me.
Stumped me.
Not an easy one.
No.
But on the Board Game Geek thing that they did in January of what games are you most excited about this year, this was number 3.
Number 3?
Number 3.
Can't be Conan.
Nope, because that was, I think, number 1 or 2.
Yeah.
And Scythe was number 1, and I think Seafall might have been number 2, and this was number 3.
Oh, no. Anybody online? Patrick?
Help!
No, nobody's helping us. All right.
Okay. I
Yeah,
win.
go on then, Paul. Yes, you win.
Gloomhaven.
Oh.
Now, so Gloom is the unhappy face, and Haven is the happy face, sort of. Not really.
Gloomhaven.
Gloomhaven.
He's the deceiver.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, it was too easy earlier on, so I thought I'd make this one difficult. But yeah, it's tricky because a lot of people. Before I worked in the industry, I would have been able to say what games I'm really looking forward to this year. But I'm so, neck deep in it all that I'm sort of blinded to a lot of the stuff that's going on. But Gloomhaven is. I'm a fan of the designer because of his first game. So this is the only Kickstarter I will probably back this year, and it just looks absolutely amazing as a game. It's a kind of tactical combat system, cooperative party of adventurers go into a dungeon, etc., etc. But there's a legacy element to it because there's a storyline, and you can get stuff, and there's a town called Gloomhaven, and as your campaign goes on, the town can build up and get better and stuff like this. And unlike your Pandemic Legacies, which are you play it the 12 to 20 times and then it's gone, this one is apparently this will keep you going for years. So it just sounds insanely incredible, and it's got I think 1,600 cards in the base game. It's just So I'm super excited about this one, and I don't know when it's coming out, but it'll be later this year.
Yeah, I've heard about this one. And it does sound really good. Where you build up your own city, but you go into a dungeon and build up a city. Yeah. Look out for that.
Yeah.
Well done, Paul. You picked us.
Thank you.
1-1.
Okay.
On to the tiebreaker.
The tiebreaker is, what is Paul's current favourite game? The game that he can't stop playing at this moment in time. And by the time this podcast actually comes out, it might have changed. So, sorry, Paul's friends. Okay, so in this one, Paul's going to give us 5 one-word clues, or maybe double-barrel one-word clues, and then we've got to guess what it is within that constraint. Constraint. I love that. Okay, Paul, take us away with your first word.
So the first word is cat.
Is it The Adventures of Kevin the Snowplow?
You got it. It's not out yet, but it's a cooperative game by Matt Leacock, and it's all about Kevin's snow clearing escapades.
Yes, and his grass cutting escapades as well, because he does that with cats as well, while listening to podcasts.
Yes. Well, I love cats, guys. I just can't finish one in one setting.
That's a catastrophe joke, that is.
Oh, that was bad. I'm sorry, everybody. Not really. Yeah, I am really sorry. Okay, so cats. Wow, this is your favorite game? It's got cats. So maybe that's like a Egyptian symbol. I'll say Kemet.
That's what I was thinking.
Nope.
Okay.
Not actually played Kemet yet.
Oh.
I know.
God!
Okay, so next word.
Yep.
Yes.
Apprentice.
There's apprentices in the builders. There's apprentices in. Cats that apprentice cats which are trying to learn how to be cats, or maybe learn to be tigers because they're in apprenticeship. No, I'm stumped.
Apprentice. Go again.
Third word.
The third word is hat.
Oh, good grief.
These are good clues.
Cat in the hat.
This is so much better than dice.
Victory points.
No.
Yeah, victory points.
Hat.
Gee.
So you can think of animals, hat. Cat in a hat. Is this Dr. Seuss? I would eat it with a box. I would eat it with a fox. I would eat green eggs and ham, some I am. Hat, cat, apprentice.
I can't think of any games with cats and hats.
Cats and hats and apprentice.
It's not the Hot Tin Roof. Was there a game called Hot Tin Roof? It was with cats.
It could have been.
But it's not your game.
No, if there is, I've not heard of it.
This is his current favorite game, though. I mean...
Well, you described it as the one that because I'm playing a lot of games at the moment, and it was hard for me to pick the favourite. So I picked, of all of those games that I'm liking at the moment, which one of them would I play right now if I had the choice? Which is the one that I'm thinking about the most? So this is the one.
Okay, I did find... Oh, that's not the picture I want. These are not the pictures you're looking for. Wrong film.
Who is that in that picture? Is that some American TV game show host?
Yeah, that's Monty Hall.
Okay.
From the who's
behind the door?
Yeah.
Whose line is ending?
No. What is the game?
I don't know.
Well, we used to know. We're
But
getting older, though.
I found Hot Tin Roof.
Ah, Hot Tin Roof.
It's 2014.
Ah.
There's cats, but no hats.
Oh, okay. Do you want the fourth word?
Yes, please.
Yeah, fourth word.
Which fourth word? Link.
Which fourth word? How many fourth words have you got?
Well, I got a choice of two, and I wasn't sure, so I'll go with Link.
Okay.
Give it. No, we don't like that one. Give us another one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Give us the other one.
The other one is Link.
Okay.
Link.
Link.
Why am I thinking of the Matrix?
He doesn't like exploding kittens or kittens in a blender or something like that, does he?
No.
If that was my favourite game, I would be
Lost
hanging
your job.
myself. Yeah.
Ah.
Okay, Patrick, is that a guess? Let's make a deal.
Let's
having
Make
a
a Deal
guess?
is the name of the... No, Let's Make a Deal is the name of the Monty Hall show. Of
Oh,
course
okay.
we know that.
Thank you.
People would come down the aisle and down the stairs and talk to Monty, and everybody loved Monty in his multicolored vest
Not his
jacket.
python then. They didn't like his
Yeah.
python.
No. Hat,
Yes,
Link, Cat, Apprentice. My goodness.
Wow.
Do you want the fifth word?
Yeah.
Go on, yeah.
Shard.
Shard.
Yep.
Shards of catalog.
Charade. This is a big charade.
Yeah.
So Shard, S-H-A-R-D.
S-H.
S-H-A-R-D. Shard.
I think tonight, Paul, you're going to be drinking nothing but champagne because you are the boss.
Shard.
Well, I'm driving
Okay.
tonight, so I better not. Well, you must have an idea. I can give you a hint.
Okay, give us a hint.
I was talking about it on my last podcast and probably the one before.
Yeah, so you need to think about that cat you were shoveling, Kev. And sorry, I didn't listen to the podcast.
I did. Gosh. I can't. I don't know why I'm not remembering it.
Dead Space.
The Gallerist.
Nope. There's no cats in the gallerist.
There's not. Oh, Vinyos.
Nope.
No, it's not Venus. I could have told you that from the first word.
It's one where, ironically, we got one of the rules wrong and have been playing it wrong.
Yes. Kids. No. I know it. Tricerion.
Tricerion, yes.
Tricerion.
Yes. The
What
game with
is-
the magicians with the top hats, and they're collecting shards and making links and magic tricks, etc., etc.
That makes perfect sense now. Well done, Paul.
Thank you.
Yeah.
2-1. 2-1.
I think we have to give that one to Paul because I didn't know the game at all. But after you gave me the hint, then it started coming back to me.
Cool.
Well played, mate. There were some very good clues.
Well, the one thing that was fun about that episode that you did on your podcast was he was talking about how they played the rule wrong. And your guest at the time was saying, "Oh, that makes me feel so much better."
Yeah.
That actually someone of Paul's quality would actually have played a rule wrong. And you know, because I know you're an attention to detail and strive for excellence type of guy. I feel that way all the time because I sometimes even hate to teach them because I'm afraid I might get something wrong, and you don't want to mislead people in a game. But the truth is, I think it's very common when most people sit down to their games that they get some little nuance just not quite right, and then they have to work through that process and go again.
Yeah, there is a big difference in what I do in my free time playing games, learning them from the rule books and getting the occasional rule wrong, and the videos that I produce professionally, which don't have any errors in because they're thoroughly checked and double checked and approved by the publishers of the game. So,
Right.
but yes, you're right. Everybody assumes that I always get all of the rules right to every game ever, and it's like, nope. I make just as many mistakes as the rest of us on, you know. So, yeah.
Yes, we will.
Well, that was an excellent what game is behind the door segment, and just for time's sake, I think we should move right on to our Babble topic called Making Space.
And now it's time for the Babble.
Right, let's make time. There we go.
Cut the segues.
Yeah, cut the segues. I'll put them in post. Okay, making space. Well, I've come up with this subject just before Christmas, and it's taken us a while to get round to this subject, unfortunately. What do you do when you get a bucket load of Christmas presents and they're all board games and your shelves are already brimming? What do you do when, it's your birthday 2 days after Christmas and you get some more board games? That didn't happen to me this year. Last year it did. What happens when you have this obsessive compulsion to have a shelf of shame, like someone, I don't know if they're going to be on the left of me or the right of me, or they're underneath me. Yeah, they're underneath.
Acquisition disorder!
Yeah. What happens? Where can you put all these games? How do you store your games? How do you get around this problem of having too many games and not enough space to put them in?
Very interesting.
Yes. Can we help people? Can we help each other here?
Well, I think first off, I think this is a very interesting subject because I think as the hobby has been growing in popularity, also the number of quality titles have been increasing. Along with that comes the media presenting all of this wonderful information to us and telling us how much fun they're having playing this and how much fun they're having playing that. And before you know it, the hype around things, and especially with people that you know and you trust, you're listening to different reviewers and different people's, and you want to have that same experience that they're having. And then you have quality designers that you appreciate, you have quality publishers you appreciate, and with us being in the media, I don't even call myself media really, but I mean those of us that are in the industry a bit, we're wanting to know what's out there and we're wanting to play all these games. It's very difficult to resist joining
Buying
in on that. Yeah, exactly. So I think it's a great topic. You saw my picture. I don't know if you can pull up that picture again on my shelf of shame.
Try that again.
I'm looking at it here.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to screen share it because it's so you can see it in its entirety.
There you go.
So are these all games that you haven't actually played at all yet?
Now that's a great question because the thing about this is some of these games are games that I've acquired in math trades.
Yeah.
So it's possible that I've played them before and I just acquired them. There's some of these games that I've played at conventions, and then subsequently when they became available, I own them now. There's other ones that have been on Kickstarter, and there's been some games that we've been given for review copies to take a look at. Generally, when I purchase a game, I'm getting games that I've reviewed and I've taken a look at. On my list right now, I'm down actually to 32 games. So I've culled out about 8 of the games since that picture was taken. But since then, I've actually gained some games. So I ended up getting this one here at Con of the North, Chimera. Rob and Patrick from Blue Peg, Pink Peg. Patrick loves this game, and it's kind of like a 3-player Teach-You game. I got it for $15. Thought, yeah, I got to get that. I got a math trade here. Now, look at this.
Ooh. That's rare.
Patrick.
Yeah.
And I got this for $20, fully intact.
Wow.
And Days of Wonder, we love their stuff, so I was super excited about that. Then I go into this booth, and it's that second to last day, and they've marked this wonderful product down.
There you go. Can I just say something now? I will not need to go out and get that because I have the original Survive, and I'm very content with it. Even though that might be a tad better, I'm saving some shelf space by not going out and buying that. Much like not going out and buying Caverna because I've got Agricola and I like Agricola. So,
and that's exactly the way I felt because I love the regular Survive, but Space Attack was supposed to be good, but they had it for $20.
Yeah, $20 is a very good price.
Yeah, it was like, I don't know if I'm going to take it out of shrink or not and give it as a gift, or I don't know.
Well,
and then
if you do open it and have a look at it, then the layout of the rule book, I did that one.
Ah.
Yeah, I didn't write the rules. This was an interesting one. I didn't write any of the rules. That was the designer himself, Jeff. But I did the layout of it. So I did all of the InDesign work and moved all of the text and did all the graphics. Well,
Wow.
moved all the graphics. So yeah, it was just a little side job that I did last Christmas, I think.
Well, I like the Engelsteins, and I love Stronghold games. And the last thing that I acquired was this here.
I've heard of that, Rum and Bones. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a cool mini or not, and I ended up getting a really good deal on it. It's brand new. It's an $80 game that I didn't pay anywhere near that, and it's one that I think is a perfect two-player game for my son and I. And I really enjoy cool minis. So anyway, there's 4 games. I don't need more games, but how do we make space? I got other games that I haven't played that I should be playing. How do you deal with that problem?
Well, I don't deal with the problem. I have hoarder tendencies. My house, my garage, and everything else is full of things because I don't like throwing anything away. And I've only got rid of, I think, 5 games in my entire life. Whereas I've got friends that every year put 20, 30 games into a, bring and buy math trade or whatever because they're not playing them. And I don't. And I probably should. So I've actually reached pretty much breaking point with my games storage room that they are now piled up on the floor all over the place. And yeah, I don't quite know what I'm going to do. But I can't bring myself. If the game is absolutely awful and nobody enjoys playing it, I'll get rid of it. But otherwise, I don't want to get rid of it. So yeah, it's a tricky one.
So yeah, so there you go. There's one answer. Get rid of games that you don't like or a total waste of space because you're not going to play it. That's one of the things I look at. I look at a game and I go, well, I've played it a couple of times. Is this something I'm going to play next year? Is this something I'm going to play in the future? For example, when I bought all the Hero Escape stuff, I had no one to play it with apart from myself. But I kept it. And 5 years later, my daughter was old enough to understand the rules, and I played with my daughter. So I have justified keeping hold of the game because I knew I was going to play it. Whereas there's some games in my collection that I'm going to say, well, I'm never going to play that again, like Essen, which was a Kickstarter game. It was fun, but it's very dry, and I think there's so many better games that could fit in that space. So bye-bye. And there's 3 or 4 other games that I've got, which I'm going to say bye-bye because you're not fun, and I don't see myself playing you, and I don't want to play you. Why don't you just flip the bird with that one?
This might be on a future giveaway.
See, that's a small box. The size of the box also has an impact on whether I keep it or not.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah,
shelf
definitely.
space.
Shelf space. I mean, is there any other advice? I've got a few things written down here.
Well, there's other options. The other option is to spread out into a second room of the house and buy some more Kallax shelves from IKEA. It's an option. I'm not saying it's the best thing to do because at the end of the day, we do only have 24 hours in a day. And I've already got, my girlfriend always says to me, you've got enough games. I will never have enough games, and I will always acquire new games every year because that's what I like doing and that's what I do. But I do have enough games that I could play games every day of my life and never get bored of the ones that I've got. But that doesn't mean I've got enough games. So.
Yeah, and I've actually, my collection right now, I have about 340 games, and I don't know if you guys feel this way regarding the amount of games, and obviously, Paul, you're content with letting them sit, and not getting to them all. But I feel sometimes almost like a guilt, like I'm not getting to those, and I should. I've invested in them. I know about them. I want to play them, but I'm not doing it, and so it becomes overwhelming. You struggle with that.
I'll leave you on the show. I'll play you tomorrow, honest.
Yeah, it's when they start sneaking into your bedroom at night and go, play me, play me.
For me, it's the rule books sneak into my bedroom and they sit in front of me, and it's like a hint of, right, I'm going to just refresh myself on the rules, and hopefully the wife will catch a hint, and maybe she'll want to play with me tomorrow. Doesn't work.
I mean, I don't feel any guilt for the games which I've got, which are great games, but I haven't played them in years. I mean, Kalis will never leave my collection, yet I've not played it in probably about 3 years. And it could be another 3 years, and I probably still haven't played it. But, you know, one weekend, somebody might come around and go, oh, I've heard this was a really, really good game. Will you teach me how to play it? And I'll be like, yes. So it's never gonna leave the collection.
It's because you
Well, then-
want to play it.
Yeah.
And will you remember how to teach it after you haven't played it for that long?
Kalis, yes. Yes, I will never forget how to play Kalis. Yeah.
I need Spock to give me the Vulcan mind memory. I'm in that place where we're playing so many games, but we're not playing them regularly or often. I can't remember what we played. I can't remember the rules after 4 or 5 months. I played it once or twice, and it's like I got to start all over.
Yeah.
But you know what's going to happen in the future? You know, before it was just rule books. You read the rule book and then you learned how to play the game. Nowadays, there's a video. There's people like Paul will go out there and show you how to play the games. In the future, it's going to be a download, and it will be like a Vulcan mind meld.
Oh,
and
yeah.
you download the rules. Right, this
Stick
is
a
how you
USB
play.
into your head, and you'll be like, oh, I know.
Yeah,
Kung
we
Fu.
can have ports
Yeah.
in our head. Gaming
Oh, no.
ports.
That's where I put the red weed. Anywho,
But, you know, in terms of games, you know, I get up in the morning and I think, oh, okay, well, there must be something worth living for. What is it? Increasing the size of my games collection. There you go. It's just, I like coming back from Essen with 2 suitcases full of games and going, here's all the new shiny stuff that I've got. If I didn't go to Essen and buy new games, I wouldn't have come back with 504. I wouldn't be getting Scythe this year. There's great games coming out all the time, and I am not going to ever say, oh, I'm not going to buy any because I've got loads already, because I'll be missing out on some absolutely top quality games.
True.
Yeah, just keep buying.
So you don't hold back at all as far as the amount, because your collection is growing so large. You're not pulling back a little bit in your purchasing.
No, but I don't. I'm not an excessive buyer. I will probably pick up 25 to 30 games a year. I back maybe 1 on Kickstarter every year. So I'm not going out and buying 4 or 5 a week like some people are. Yeah, it's just, you know, what I have done, and this is because of the way that the industry's gone. What you mentioned earlier on, you know, we're getting so many games coming out every year now. The percentage of new games coming out that I get is a lot lower than what it used to be. You know, years ago when we first went to Essen 15 years ago, we sat down, we played a game. Was it all right? Yeah, bought it. Now we go to Essen and we're like, right, this has to be really good. You know, and then we'll buy it because there's 800 other games. So I'm probably more selective of what I buy, but we have more games coming out, so it ends up being about the same.
Yeah, I see your reasoning there.
How about, Barry, if you have certain games and a new game comes out and that scratches the same itch as an older game, but they're different theme or something like that. Say, for instance, you got Stone Age and then Lords of Waterdeep and then Champions of Midgard, for instance, or games of similar ilk. You replace one of your old games in light of the new one, or do you like them all?
That is a good question, because I like dungeon crawls, and so I've got Descent, I've got Hero Quest, I've got Dungeons and Dragons, the role-playing game, I've got Mice and Mystics, I've got, you know, I like that genre of building a map and going through and killing monsters and stuff, and I have come to the point where it's like, yes, I need to get rid of some of this stuff because there is this other stuff which is coming out which does it better. For example, the Dungeons and Dragons and the Hero Quest are very much alike. The rules are very simple. It is a case of move this amount of squares, roll these dice to attack a monster, move into another room. You don't need too many of those games. So yeah, it is a case of, well, I've got that game already. I'm going to need to replace it with something else. And again, like I said, you don't replace a game that you like with something else which does the same. So I won't be replacing Agricola with Caverna because I'm happy with Agricola. When Conan comes out on Kickstarter, from Kickstarter, I will be definitely removing something from the Dungeon Crawling ilk because Conan's going to be like 5 or 7 boxes. And so I have that opportunity to remove 5 or 7 boxes of, Dungeons and Dragons or Hero Quest. It's just sad to say, but it needs to be done.
Yeah, it's interesting what you said about Agricola and Caverna, because I got Caverna, and I've not played Agricola since, and I will never play Agricola again because I now have Caverna.
Yeah.
Am I going to sell Agricola? No.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
So now, when you walk into your apartment or your home, do you have just little aisles that you walk through because stuff is piled up around you, or?
You built your own labyrinth.
I have a games room, and everything is in that room. So it's just, that room is a minefield at the moment. Yeah.
Well,
Do you
one thing
ever-
as far. Oh, go ahead.
Do you ever condense your games? So if you got like a game and 3 expansions, do you put the expansions in the box, or do you keep all the original boxes?
I've answered this question somewhere else. I think Dan King asked it on Twitter months ago now. What I do is I take the expansion box, cut off the front cover of the box, and then put that and the contents of the expansion into the original game box. Because I don't like throwing away that artwork for that expansion cover, but I also don't want to get rid of the box. Or I'll keep the box and I'll put a prototype in it or something like that. But yeah, I don't like even throwing away game boxes.
And you, Berkey, the same?
Yeah, this is a little bit of a tip, and I'll answer your question, because one thing that I found, and I don't know where you're at, but because of big screen TVs, a lot of these old entertainment centers that house the smaller square tube have become available. You'll see them at garage sales and such. Okay. I picked up some beautiful solid oak entertainment centers that have doors, and some have glass fronts where your stereo equipment would sit. They already have shelves in them, but the orientation doesn't fit the big screen TVs. Well, I picked these up for like $40 and $50. They're beautiful pieces of furniture, and I was able to repurpose those as gaming shelves. But in some of the under cupboards where I have the doors where stuff that's hidden, I've got a whole bunch of expansion boxes because I don't want to get rid of them. It's like if I were ever to sell the game, I want to put them back in the expansion box. Or I've been thinking about doing some artwork with some of the expansion boxes and putting together a collage of it for the game room, and I just have a hard time getting rid of them.
Well, this is what I do. Don't know if you can see that. Oh, there you go, Paul.
Oh, very good. Yes.
For those who've been listening, I've been quoting War of the Worlds because it's Paul and my favourite album ever. But over there on the wall, just about see it.
Yes.
There you go.
Expansion boxes. I just nailed them up onto the wall. Simple as that. So I've condensed the boxes into one box, and then use the other box, the box that the expansion come on, as a piece of art on the wall. So that's one solution.
That was the Dungeon Pets expansion.
Yeah,
because that's one of the most beautiful front covers of a box I've ever seen. I just love that artwork.
Yeah, I was going to throw away I wasn't going to throw away the Carcassonne expansion boxes, but they were quite. Yeah. So I just threw them anyway. So, yeah, condense your games, put it all into one box. That saves you some space.
Well, it's something that we're going to be doing at Berkey and Badger, Board Game Babble, and Board Game Theater coming up next month, is we're actually going to be having a video of different companies that provide inserts. And we're going to have a giveaway of these inserts, and it's going to be an exciting promotion, and several other podcast friends of ours are going to be involved with that. But the reason I mentioned that is just like I got my Blood Rage Kickstarter. Love this thing. Well, several companies now have come out with these fantastic inserts. Meeple Reality, The Broken Token, Robert Searing is coming out with one that have these awesome inserts where you press all of those boxes, get it all in there. And so there's companies out there now that are making it it's helping us with the storage space issue, and I think that's an opportunity for some folks.
Yeah. And what about getting rid of games and keeping them as digital copies? So if you've got Carcassonne and Catan, and you've got an iPad,
Yeah.
no, you wouldn't do it.
No, you can't. You can't beat a board with pieces that you physically pick up. Yeah.
But can I ask, do you have an iPad with Carcassonne and Ticket to Ride on?
Not Carcassonne because I think it's an awful game. But I do have Ra on the iPad. And if a few people came round and said we want to play Ra, and I was here at my house, I would get the board game. If I was at somebody else's house, I would get the iPad out because But yeah, I would always choose to play the actual game with the pieces.
Okay. So you own both. So you have a physical copy and a virtual copy.
Yes.
Okay. So you're not saving space at all, are you? Oh, your poor girlfriend.
I don't know how long both of you have all been gaming, but I've been gaming since high school, and I still own games from high school. I have my Milton Bradley large box Axis and Allies Shogun.
Yeah. I've got 2 copies of Shogun somewhere.
Okay, I've got 2 Axis and Allies actually.
Why? Why 2 copies?
I don't know.
It's a long story. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a long story, but we love it. The box is beaten up so bad that it probably couldn't get anything for it. But Axis and Allies, Fortress America, Conquest of the Empire.
Yeah.
Some of these games that are from 1978-ish. I probably have in my collection, I would say maybe 30 games that are from that genre, which I would hardly ever play again, but I'm not getting rid of them.
No.
Wow. I got rid of my Connect 4. And I sank my battleship. They're gone.
I have my electronic Monopoly.
Ooh.
This is where the electronic module goes on top of the Monopoly board, and you can take loans out against the property, and it digitally moves you around the board. And as much as people trash on Monopoly, and I do too, I make fun of it now a little bit myself, but back in the day, we played Monopoly like crazy, and we had loads of fun trading, and especially with the digital. With that module was really cool, and I don't even know if you can get it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, going back to the sort of mid-'80s, my friends would come round on a Saturday and we'd spend 7 or 8 hours playing Talisman. And now you couldn't pay me any money in the world to play Talisman. It just, taste changed. But at the time, that's what... And one of the things that I've always thought about is if I hadn't have played those games back then, that's what got me into the gaming hobby. Would I be where I am now? So I've got a lot to thank them for. But, roll the dice and move that number of spaces around the board and draw a card and it tells you what to do. I'm sorry, but my tastes have changed a little bit. So.
Well, do you think this making space concept that we're talking about, we're giving some clues on how to make space, but do you think that some of the reason we do tend to hoard and collect these games is because it's a physical representation of our memories and experiences that are very fond to us?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like as I say, with Kalis, when Kalis came out, it was my favourite game. I absolutely loved it, and it stayed my favourite game for many years. And my girlfriend always joked, if there was ever a fire in the house, which one would I save, her or Kalis? And then one night, I even said, look, I'm going to bed early, I don't feel very well, and I got the box of Kalis and I put it in bed next to me, and was cuddling it for when she came to bed as a bit of a joke. But you're right. I've got so many good memories of being there at Essen when Kalis came out, playing it for the first time, and then absolutely loving it, that it will stay in my collection forever. And you're same with the Axes and Allies and the copies of Samurai Swords I've got rather than Shogun. They're never going to go because they were a part of what I did, back then. But I wouldn't feel that about a game that I bought 2 years ago that I now don't like anymore. I would get rid of that one because it doesn't. There's nothing special about it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the thing. Hey, if you got games that you don't care for, there's no sense keeping them around unless they mean something to you. But if a game means something to you, you feel that it's important to your memory or to future gameplays, man, keep the games, develop the space that's most efficient for you and how you like to manage it. And I think that's really what this hobby is all about. This is a hobby, and this is something that we do engage in. And I don't know, this has been a lot of fun, Paul, talking to you, having you on the show, doing the What's Behind the Game was really, really, really great. You're very clever. And again, we just want to thank you so much for being on the show. And just tell everybody once again how they can get in touch with you.
No, thanks again for inviting me on the show. So yeah, to get hold of me, I'm on Twitter at Gaming Rules Videos, I think, or Gaming Rules Vids. Facebook is Gaming Rules Videos. The YouTube channel is Gaming Rules Vids. Yeah, that's probably the best place to get hold of me.
We'll have some of the information in the show notes here.
Not around the neck. No, that's not the best place to get in.
No, definitely not. No.
Well, again, highly recommend go check out Paul's stuff because it's awesome stuff. And I'm looking forward to whatever you're doing in the future, and I'm sure that we'll be able to have you back on the show another time and continue to develop our friendship. Real quickly, I just want to reiterate that we are running a contest. Go to the Board Game Guild. Our guild is number 2248, and you can 2248. You can actually get in on this giveaway from Great Northern Games, and we're going to be giving away the game Noble Treachery, and all you need to do is join our guild and make a comment, and you're in. So this is going to be exciting. It's only going to run until the 29th of February, and then we will announce the winner. You'll also see on our website, boardgametheater.com, the Rafflecopter where you will be able to join in on this giveaway. And we have another show coming up. I believe it's March 1st. And something kind of exciting, just a little bit of news, on the March 1st, we're going to have Bob Boxfart himself join us and talk about video games and board games.
Yes. So, sorry, I'm getting really carried away. So to wrap up, if you've got too many games, keep them. Is that your advice, Paul?
It's mine, but I've got the luxury of the space, and I know not everybody has the space. So
okay.
Yeah.
So either condense your boxes into smaller boxes, and then or either move the games throughout your house so they're not just in the toilet and in the. They are actually, your bed is actually made out of board games. And then just don't buy board games, and then you won't have this problem, and then you'll have plenty of space on the shelves for pictures of your beautiful wife or girlfriend or lover or the family or the cats that you've killed while on the lawn. So thanks very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the show. Subscribe, like, doobie-doo, and all that other doobie-doo stuff. And
hey, we gotta say something else real quick. Now, what we're doing live right now, you can enjoy this on YouTube, but the purpose of us recording live is to make a pro audio version of this podcast. And now the Berkey and Badger Board Game Babble Show is on iTunes and on Stitcher Radio. Yay! So you can go to Stitcher, you can go to iTunes, and you can just type in Berkey and Badger. It pops right up, and you can see all of the episodes that have a higher quality audio version for your listening pleasure. And we would love to get to interact with you. So please join in with us and give us some comments on iTunes, on Stitcher. Join us in the guild and on our Facebook pages because we'd really like to interact with you. And so we're hoping to develop more and more community there. So, and Barry's ripping up.
What are you ripping up?
Script. I'm making space.
I can do that too. You think you're the only one that can do that?
I've just made some space.
So this is the Berkey and Badger Show legacy. This is.
Yeah.
Done.
Well,
so right, just ripping things up. Yeah.
So there you go.
Well,
Thanks,
it's been
Berkey.
fun.
Thanks,
Thank
Mr.
you, Barry.
Thank you, Mr. Googity Noonan.
Thanks. Paul Grogan.
Oh, that's me. Oh, yes. No. I had no idea what you were talking about there. It's
I did
late.
warn you.
Yes. No, thank you very much.
Send us out with the music there, fat boy.
Indeed.
We're so glad we had this time together. And now it's time to go. Let's go! It won't be long until we have another show.
Yeah.
So keep us in mind. Get online. Berkey and Patrick.
We'll be back in no time.